Ah, Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith. The video game. The game we've all been waiting for. The game everyone in my comments has been asking for a video on. I just couldn't wait to explore the history of my favorite Star Wars movie turned video game. The most anticipated Star Wars game to date, bringing the franchise to its glorious end. In this game, there's a lot of action, and Anakin is a good guy who's gonna be a bad guy. My favorite guy, General Grievous, is gonna make an appearance or two. Anakin and Obi-Wan are gonna fight, and Anakin is gonna be a bad guy. What else could you ask for in a video game? It's finally here, ladies and gentlemen, so you might as well explore the history of it. Did I mention yet that Anakin is gonna be a bad guy? And I'm finally gonna fight that awful Count Dookie. I'm just dying in anticipation to explore the history of Star Wars Episode 3, the video game. The game was released on May 4th of 2005 for the PS2, Xbox, Game Boy Advance, and the Nintendo DS. There is a lot of buzz around this game's release, as it was slated to come out 11 days before the Revenge of the Sith movie. And it was revealed that this game would include scenes directly from the movie. Overall, through the 17 levels of the game, there's about 12 total minutes of footage from the movie itself. I can imagine at the time, for Star Wars fanatics, this was pretty exciting. The single-player mode of the game follows Anakin and Obi-Wan through the plot of the film, and the player alternates between the two characters. The combat of the game is mainly lightsaber-based and is very similar to the EA Lord of the Rings games, and it also features an experience/upgrade system very similar to that of the EA Lord of the Rings games as well. The game essentially follows the plot of the movie, but there is a bit of a twist here. It's obvious that LucasArts did not want to spoil the movie as a whole, so certain scenes that were more prominent in the movie are made out to be less important, and vice versa. For example, that opening scene with Anakin and Obi-Wan flying around is shown but then cut very short, where in the movie it's a drawn out near-death experience for the characters. Or the elevator scene, which is pretty short and sweet in the movie, and actually kind of entertaining, is drawn out in the game and just kind of goes on and on and on. A lot of the cutscenes in the movie are briefly played, then cut very abruptly. There are a lot of differences in between the movie and the game, including Count Dooku not getting decapitated by Anakin, as well as other character deaths not being revealed in the game. And that's probably what makes this game somewhat intriguing to this day. It's like some strange alternate version of the movie. If you enjoyed the prequels at all, or just episode 3 at all, then it's pretty interesting to give this game a playthrough and compare the two. If you're like the majority of people and don't enjoy the prequels, then you probably won't like this game either. Anyways, overall, I imagine this game was relatively confusing to anyone who waited to see the movie first and then tried to play the game, and vice versa, anyone who played the game first, then saw the movie, was probably slightly confused as well. But I think it was all in good nature, trying to preserve the movie as a whole, and still being able to put out a video game that was different enough from the movie, yet close enough to the movie to give fans a different experience for both. Anyways, for what it is, this game is really not that bad. The combat system can get a little bit repetitive, and it's certainly not groundbreaking by any means, but hey, you get to use a lightsaber and use the Force, so it's not really much to complain about. Overall, I found my small playthrough of this game to be pretty fun, and I have definitely played far worse Star Wars games in my life. I did want to touch on some of the voice acting in this game, as the same voice actors from the Clone Wars series, which I personally love, voiced both Obi-Wan and Anakin. Obi-Wan's voice acting seems fine, although some of his combat dialogue is extremely overused and annoying. It's much better than Anakin's overall dialogue, which I don't directly correlate to his voice actor, but there are some extremely bland uses of dialogue by him in this game, and overall, for the most part, it just falls pretty flat.
Quick, back into the car. You first, Master. There's no time to argue. Go!
It's worth noting that the console versions of this game include an alternate ending, which takes place during Vader and Obi-Wan's final duel. Essentially, the player is given the choice to play as Vader and throw that high ground right back in Obi-Wan's face, and successfully slay him in a turn of events. After slaying his former master, Vader then returns to Sidious and is given a special red Sith lightsaber as a reward. Vader then uses that same lightsaber to kill Sidious, being overtaken by the dark side. I thought this was pretty interesting, and it was also probably a good way to not give the exact ending of the movie away to fans at the time. The game overall received somewhere between average and positive reviews, with the handheld versions of the game receiving slightly higher overall reviews. But as a whole, looking at old reviews of this game, most scores range somewhere from the high 40s up to the high 70s, so it was kind of all over the place in terms of critical reception. Well, I guess that's all that there is to the legacy of this game. I went into this game with very low expectations, and that ended up being pretty rewarding in the end. For a movie tie-in video game, it really wasn't all that bad, but at the same time, it really wasn't all that great. What more would you expect from Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, the video game? That's all I got on this week's game, but if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a thumbs up, comment down below with what game you'd like to see featured in a future video, and subscribe to the channel for more content like this. And with that, I say farewell. Till next time, Thrift Shop Gaming.